Good morning and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. Now, this is going to be an exciting one today. I want you to load up the questions, comments, and also thank my guest today for her long tenure at St. Louis Lambert International Airport. We get a chance to talk to Rhonda Hamm-Niebruegge. She's going to be our guest for the next hour, and right before she gets ready to retire in that role coming up in the fall of 2026. I've got so much to talk to her about and so much that she's done, including what is to come for our travel at Lambert. So that's coming up for you after we get into some weather, into some news you can use. Hope you're having a great start to your day. It's going to be a fun one for sure. So let me know where you're watching from. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. We are on every morning, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. on multiple platforms. So thank you for wherever you're watching from, and be sure to share this show so it's going out to your followers as well. All right. Not too bad yesterday. It was a little stuffy, a little hot. We'll see if it's going to continue. Here's our 10-day forecast. We had, again, 90s in the forecast, and it will remain that way until we get into next week, and it's going to cool down just a bit. But we do have some isolated storms that could pop up today, more so to the south, 91 for the high. Tomorrow, a 50% chance of scattered storms and a high of 89. By the way, St. Louis City SC in action. The Cards are back in action on Friday, but they're on the road. A 40% chance of scattered storms Friday and 90 for the high. We get into the weekend, 93 for both Saturday and Sunday with just slight chances of rain. And then into next week, high of 94 on Monday. It's going to be very sticky, very hot. 90 on Tuesday, and then we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, and we will see mid-80s for the high. The Cardinals, by the way, are not back at home until next Thursday. So we get through this. We'll check in with Beckett, and we'll see if his forecast matches that of our friends over at KMOV when we talk to him on Friday. Well, if any of you were traveling in town and country right around 270 and 64 last night, you may have been stuck in traffic from this. This is such a devastating story. One person dead after a wrong-way crash on Interstate 64 that happened in town and country. About 6:55 is when the crash happened. A 41-year-old woman was in a pickup truck driving the wrong way in the eastbound lanes. A 24-year-old man driving an SUV crashed into the wrong-way driver, struck a concrete barrier. Paramedics pronounced the wrong-way driver dead on the scene. The driver of the other car was taken to a hospital with moderate injuries. And I was told by a lot of people it was a very lengthy backup. In fact, at one point, they headed just down to one lane. But devastating when you hear these stories about someone in the wrong direction. Don't know what led to that. But again, if in fact you were a little late getting home, you were wondering what happened there at 270 and 64, that is the story. All right, I have stayed away from this one for a little while. I'm just going to tell you, I know this is around breakfast time, and I know you might be eating, and you might not want to hear about this. So I'm not going to actually say the words, but we're all adults here, right? And it is health news. It wasn't in Missouri, but I have a friend who was writing me this morning saying these are the symptoms that she was dealing with. I do know this made its way into Illinois, and the reason I'm doing the story during your breakfast time is for you to look at your food. Here's what health experts are believing could be linked to this outbreak. They believe it has to do with maybe lettuce or other salad greens as a potential source of the outbreak. This is from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. They said they have some early information showing the lettuce is a common product that regularly comes up during the investigation. And I know, a lot of you are like, well, trying to eat healthy here, and now look what happens. The department reported that its investigation is still ongoing. It cannot completely rule out other foods, nor has a single type of producer, supplier, or grower been identified. But so far, there have been 843 reported cases across 31 states. Michigan and New York have the most, followed by Illinois, Kentucky, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Texas. There are more than 1,500 cases that they are still investigating. So buy whole heads of lettuce instead of the pre-washed bag salad. Remove the outer layers of the lettuce heads and wash the inner layers. Cook the produce when possible. Peel the produce and wash all the fresh produce. Again, previous outbreaks have been linked to bagged salad mixes, fresh cilantro, fresh basil, and raspberries. All the things we consider to be healthy causing some of these problems. So if you haven't had any friends or family members that have told you that they have had these type of symptoms. Again, pay attention. I think it might be coming into our Missouri area, but Illinois for sure. All of our friends over on the Illinois side, again, just a heads up to you. Well, the House passed a bill that would make, and a lot of people have talked about this over the years, do you want daylight saving time permanently removed? There will be no turning back the clock if the House has its way. They passed a bill Tuesday that would make daylight saving time permanent. Proponents, including the White House, argued that the change would provide more daylight during the times that Americans are most active. The vote, by the way, was 308 to 117. Daylight saving time is the period between spring and fall when the clocks in most parts of the U.S. are set an hour ahead of standard time. States could opt out if their respective legislatures act to do so before the bill's enactment. The Senate would also have to pass the bill before it could be signed into law, but it's unclear if it will, in fact, do so. So what do you think? Should we have it? Should we not have it? People are definitely mixed on this particular one. Well, you'll remember this gentleman. You remember the whole miracle on the Hudson. The pilot has announced that he has an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Retired pilot Chelsea Sully Sullenberger has been diagnosed with the disease. He made the announcement yesterday saying, I recently found out I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It is an early stage. For now, this means a name may not come easily to me. I forget a story I've recently told, or I don't sleep as well, but I'm at the beginning of this long journey. He shared that in a statement. You remember he grabbed headlines in January of 2009 as the U.S. Airways captain who managed to land the plane full of people in the Hudson River without a loss of life despite the aircraft losing thrust in both engines. Just an absolutely incredible story. And so now thoughts and prayers going out to him. There's a retired doctor that is now becoming the oldest person to summit Mount Kilimanjaro at the age of 90. So you know what? Age is just a number, right? Upon reaching the summit of America's highest peak early Monday morning, the doctor celebrated with a birthday cake and some singing and dancing, much in the same vein that he has celebrated his long life. Dr. Arthur Euline, retired doctor, again, becoming the oldest person to climb Kilimanjaro. By the way, the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, meaning it is not part of a mountain range. 19,341 feet. Incredible. So let him inspire you to do what is on your bucket list. All right, if you're a fan of Suni Lee making an announcement, she's coming back to gymnastics. About 2 years before the LA Olympics, the American gymnastics star announced she's returning to the sport about 2 years out from the games. The 2020 all-around champion and a six-time Olympic medalist posted a video on Instagram saying she was back in the gym and ready to return to work. The 23-year-old has been on a break following the 2024 Paris Olympics. So it'll be fun to watch her. All right, did you watch the game last night? I don't know if I have a lot of baseball fans that watch. I know you have a lot of hockey fans that do and soccer fans that have been watching the World Cup. Well, they had the All-Star game last night, and here's your outcome. It was the American League beating the National League. The final was 4-0. So now the Cardinals finally getting back into action. The Cards and the Diamondbacks on the road will be Friday, by the way, at 8:40. Okay, World Cup. I know Linda's not happy about this. She was rooting for France. France lost, in fact, shut out by Spain yesterday, 2-0. So France, again, will be in the third place playoff. That'll be Saturday at 4 p.m. Today, it's England and Argentina. That game will be at 2 o'clock. And all right, let's run down your National Day of calendar. National Hot Dog Day, and you can combine it with some gummy worms if you'd like. National Give Something Away Day. Social Media Giving Day. It is National I Love Horses Day. National Pet Fire Safety Day. And then we have a global observance. It is World Youth Skills Day. There we go. Running through it all for you quickly in the beginning of the show so you're up to date on some things that we think you might want to be talking about. Now, I am so excited to bring in St. Louis Lambert International Airport Director for another handful of months before she retires, Rhonda Hamm-Niebruegge, my guest. And any questions you have for her, drop them in live during the show, or if you watch this later on hashtag replay for us, if you watch it later and ask the questions, we'll make sure we get those to her as well. All right, stay tuned. She's coming in studio next.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy right in your backyard. No commute, no appointments, just warmth, relief whenever you need it. Sore muscles recover faster, tight joints loosen up, tension you carry all day, gone. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition Swim Spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at our showrooms. Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the ah in spa.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again to the Real Monica Adams Show. We love having you live. If you have to rush off, this is one you're going to definitely want to come back to. This is the first time she's appeared on our show, but not the first time I've met her. Many times in my career, we have covered stories at St. Louis Lambert International Airport, and she's been behind the helm for a long, long time, but is getting ready to retire, and rightfully and worthy of it after everything she's done for us in the fall of 2026. If you have not had a chance to meet my guest, now you're going to. Rhonda Hamm-Niebruegge, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Monica.
Absolutely. Rhonda and I ran into each other at a recent party from our friend Bob Brinkman. Shout out to Bob. And you've known Bob for how long?
Oh my gosh, probably 20 plus years.
Yeah, I think we both said. So I first met him when I used to personal train inside the Brinkman building right there by Annie Gunn's, for those of you that know the Chesterfield area. So it was he and all of his guys that I would train, and then we would run back into each other. And then he's like, you need to come to my house for this party. It was so much fun.
Yeah, he throws fantastic parties,
Yes.
and the setting is incredible.
Gorgeous, right? Absolutely. So are you going to his rodeo coming up?
Yes, we
Yeah?
are.
All right, we'll see each other again. Okay, so let's talk about this longevity that you've had. You've been in the aviation industry, though, for what, 25 years?
44 total, 27 in the airline side,
Yeah.
and then 16 and a half here on the airport.
Holy cow. So what made you get into that all those years ago?
You know, it wasn't the path I thought I would take. I was kind of by a fluke. I was interviewing for another path, and I was graduating from college, and that path was taking a lot longer than I anticipated. And so Ozark Airlines was hiring. They had a job fair back then. They were opening LaGuardia Airport. And so I went and applied because I needed a job. And got the offer, and after college, went right to New York. So at
Okay.
LaGuardia Airport. Thought it would be, you know, a 6 months, a year. It'd be fun to live in New York. And here I am, 44 years later.
Where did you grow up?
In this, Boot Hill, Missouri, in Oran.
Oh, I don't think I've even heard of that area.
Yeah.
So Ozark was first.
Right.
And then what are all the airlines?
So TWA, so I joined in 1982. TWA bought Ozark in 1986.
Okay.
And then I came to St. Louis then. And then after TWA, I worked my way up and then ultimately became American Airlines.
Right.
So in 2001, American bought TWA. In 2009, that was kind of the end of the era here for the hub operation, and that's when I retired the first time from American.
Do you think we'll ever be a hub again?
Well, it's an interesting question because technically we are. Southwest operations
That's true.
are
Yep.
about 125 flights a day. And normally when you think about a hub airline in terms of the FAA, it's 100 plus flights. It is a different hub
Right.
than we had back in those days. And I don't see us getting back to that level just based on the size we are and how the industry has morphed.
Sure. And again, we think about the years of TWA, what an incredible airline for sure. And then American, and then again, 2009. So from 2009 to now, what have you seen in the growth or the slowdown?
So for St. Louis locally, I mean, we've seen quite a bit of growth after the big downsizing. So we've been able to form those partnerships with Southwest. They've pushed a lot more connecting traffic through here, which has brought a lot more nonstop destinations. And of course, we've been fortunate the last couple of years to see the international growth with both Lufthansa and British Airways into London and Frankfurt. As an industry, it's continuing to morph, right? There continues to be consolidation. 2019 was the best year the industry had ever seen, including St. Louis. I mean, it was the best one we'd seen in 20. Then after we got through the COVID years, it was really tough because our industry just dropped off the charts.
Absolutely.
24 really started picking back up, and 25, 26, we're stabilizing again. So it's always an industry that's going to have the ebbs and flows with whatever's happening in the world.
Sure.
And it's always a challenge.
Well, and again, people talk about travel right now, and I had some friends that were going to Cabo, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, did you see how costly it is?" I'm like, everything's up right now. You go to the gas station, right? And so fuel, all those. So there's people that will talk about different parts of expansion, and I had people on the show yesterday, and they were like, "What's your favorite airport?" And I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting question. Do you have a favorite?"
It's probably not in the U.S., but yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So we look at others, if we do go throughout the U.S. I was like, okay, yeah, I enjoy going through Phoenix. It's good. I mean, Dallas. One of the girls was like, I don't mind Chicago. And then they were saying the ones that they didn't like. We're looking at ours. We come back, obviously, travel back through, and it is, okay, I actually love Southwest to Terminal 2, right? I look at all the things, and it was fun to see the different restaurants that are going in there that tie into our local area. I love that terminal. We're looking, though, at the expansion. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. It's probably the biggest question. What's happening?
Yeah.
So what is happening with it?
So we got the 30% designs in recently, and ours is such a big project because it's a campus transformation. We know that we need to consolidate the two terminals into one. We know that the historic domes need to stay. I mean, there's a number of things. And then, of course, we have 70 on one side, and we've got Boeing on the other side of our airfield. So we do have a constrained area. So as the 30% designs came in, we're working with the airlines to really scope those to make sure that it can be a cost that's affordable. Ultimately, the airlines pay for this through their rates and charges. So we've just, now getting some rescoping design to hone in that cost a little bit. We're very hopeful here soon we'll be able to share all of those. But it is an exciting project.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
And you're looking at some of the pictures that Rhonda provided for us, looking at what is to come. So what is the projection for that, when it would get underway to finally be done?
Right. The hope is that the construction would start next year.
Okay.
And it's a phased construction because you have multiple parts. You have roadway, garage, the new terminal. So it would be a phased, and the terminal would open in two phases. You'd build the western half first, move carriers in, and then build the eastern half, and that's probably ultimately when Southwest would move in. So the project is about 4.5 years long from start to finish. So you'd be looking at 2032, early 2032, if things continue to move in the right direction. But you would see so much progress along the way, and obviously the first part of the terminal would open in about 2.5 years after construction.
So after all the years that you've been through that, is it kind of like, I would like to still be here as a part of it? You get to watch, and we don't know who is your successor, do we?
We do not. I do know that I think they're honing in on the search. So
They did a national search for this, right?
Right, they did.
If you don't know, she is retiring. Do you have the actual retirement date?
August 14th.
Oh, it's even earlier than fall. August, oh my goodness, it's next month. August 14th. Is it bittersweet?
It is. I mean, it's when your whole life's been in an industry like this, it's interesting to just say, okay, it's time for me to walk away. The good side is I'm very ready. I think, I've had a fascinating career, and it's just time to just take a step back, slow down, and enjoy life a little bit more.
Well, and you're going to, how many grandkids do you have now?
We have 6 now.
Six. And the latest was just born.
She's not quite 6 months old yet.
Look at how cute. What's her name?
So that's Lucy.
Hi, Lucy. Now, what are you called? Are you Grandma? Are you Gigi?
I'm Grammy.
Grammy. I always love to do that. So all of you come up with different names. I'm hoping at some point I will be blessed with a grandchild, but I don't want to be called Grandma. So people are coming up with different names. I love how it's evolved from the traditional Grandma.
Right.
Grammy,
yeah.
So in your years here, and again, folks, if you have any questions, what was Bab said? Hold on, let me look. Eyes aren't good, Rhonda. I loved the old, holy cow, what is she saying? Babs, what are you asking? I don't know. Write that a different way for me. Good morning, Gwendolyn. Hope you're having a great start to your day. All of you that are on, good morning, good morning. If you have any questions, by the way, for Rhonda, please drop them in. Is that like what is she saying here? Is that an old airplane? We all need our glasses.
I'm going to have to get glasses
It
out,
says
too.
the 11011s.
The 1129 runway? No?
No, look, so this one.
Okay, let's see
Like
here.
both of us with our glasses.
I
This
love
is a
the
real
old
show.
Oh, I love the old L-1011. So
Oh,
that's a type.
L-1011s.
Yeah, that's the type of airplane. And we used to fly years ago. Obviously, TWA had L-1011s, and they had the upper deck.
Oh, yeah. See, this is how long ago would that have been?
Oh wow, and that would have been in the late '80s.
Okay, so Bab, sorry, I didn't know what that one was. We just picked our son up at the airport yesterday, and it was a pleasant experience.
Great.
Right? Good morning, Tracy. Hope you're having a great start to your morning. I love Southwest Terminal, too. I'm handicapped, a walk with a walker. When we were in Orlando at the airport, they have a special area for handicapped to go through security. It was so easy to use. Wish we had that at Lambert.
Okay, and I think as you redesign, we're very constrained right now
Yeah.
in our checkpoints and the size that we have. But as we look at a new terminal and as we look at the more modern way of check-in, especially through the checkpoints, I think we'll be able to incorporate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, if we're live this morning, so if you have any questions or comments for Rhonda, please feel free to drop those in. So you've done a lot in the time that you've been in this role. What are you most proud of?
You know, I think just the partnership with the community. There was a real disconnect, I think, after the downsizing with what role the airport played in the regional economy and were we in sync with what the region wanted and expected. Right. And I didn't realize just how disconnected that was. And I learned very quickly, okay, we've got to find a better path here. So I think we have spent years building partnerships in the community. That's what helped us with the success of the internationals. And I think the community, while we know that the terminal's old and we've done a lot of things, people want to see a new terminal, but everybody's on the same page now. Yeah. And that's what's making it nice. And if we hadn't been able to build those partnerships, if we hadn't been able to really try to bring St. Louis into the airport, and whether that's the food scene, the art scene, we have a great art program. You know, we have over 100 artists that have been able to exhibit in the airport for the first time ever, and it's given them a lot of exposure.
Sure.
So I think, you know, we've done a lot of things, and not everyone always recognizes that because we still live in a terminal built in 1956. But I do think that the most important thing is we've put the airport back on the map of its relevance, the relevance economically to the state, to this region, and just the overall asset it is to the region.
Absolutely. I do, by the way, Bridget, she said, do you remember the 94th Aero Squadron restaurant?
Oh, yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I do. Good memories, by the way. You're welcome, Stephanie. Of course, no problem. So we're looking also, you provided us some different pictures of many things that have taken place over the years. We all can go back and remember the devastation of the tornado that came through. And how much in damages?
It was about $40 million
Wow.
in damages. It happened over 7 minutes.
7 minutes time. You all remember that, 2011?
2011.
Yeah, devastating. And that was the time that you took us all through the media showing everything. And it really, I mean, it brought tears to all of our eyes of what took place and how scary that was. Take us through that time. And for you personally, knowing just how scared everybody was.
Yeah, I think my husband and I were at dinner with several friends in the Frontenac area, and I kept getting texts and was talking with the airport. And shortly after a conversation with them, I got another text that said, "We just got hit, Rhonda." And so immediately I called and said, "Okay, hit by the tornado?" What? And they said, "Yes, it's bad." So we left immediately, and you know, your heart just sinks because you don't know if there's death, you don't know what the destruction looks like, you don't know if your own staff or customers are. So as my husband was driving, and as he pulled over, you know, I didn't think, well, this doesn't look too bad. And as we pulled right over the interstate coming up Lindbergh, you saw the devastation at Lindbergh, and you know, you think, oh my God, what are we walking into?
Right.
And when I walked into the terminal, he had to drop me off. I had to walk because we couldn't even get into the terminal. When I walked in, it was calm. And it just made me sit back and say, okay, we've got this, right? Our staff knows what to do. While there was stuff everywhere and broken glass and stuff turned upside down, people were calm. And everybody had worked into their place. We had the EMT staff. We had the police officers. They were out with megaphones announcing. People were huddling. And I thought, okay, we've trained for this how many times? And then it gives you a sense of, we're going to be just fine. Then you take a breath, right? And then you start saying, okay, it's Easter weekend. All these families are coming in. And it's important to me that we're very transparent to the public. So my big thought was we have to get out in front of this immediately. People need to know what's going on. And as we worked through that night and through the next day, as you said, I took the people to the Concourse C, which was the most devastated, obviously, with the roof gone. So people could see we're facing a battle here, but we're going to figure it out.
Absolutely. And I think that was the smartest thing. And because obviously the public wants to see this and to rest assured that we've got this. I think that's amazing because it could have been complete chaos, screaming, crying everywhere. The fact that there was a sense of calmness, you have to be proud. That means all the training paid off, right? All of us go through training, we're like, oh, God, here we go again. But it's needed.
Right.
So how long from the devastation of that happening to rebuilding, how long did that all take?
It took 13 months. So we had set a goal of reopening in 12 months with the C Concourse. The good side was we did have some vacant space after the downsizing, so we were able to reopen the D Concourse, which had not been impacted by the tornado. We did that literally over 72 hours. I mean, we had all sorts of volunteers and support coming out to put in new carpet, and really could have try to get it up to speed with some pop-up restaurants and stuff. So with all of that, we were able to do that, but to rebuild what we lost took 13 months. So in 2012, in May of 2012, we reopened the remodeled C, and people got tired of seeing the boarded up windows, but it took a while to figure out and get the company that originally installed those glass windows in 1956 was the same company.
Are you serious? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Look at that, full circle. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Again, if you're just tuning in, Rhonda Hamm-Niebruegge. She is our guest, the director for only another month. It's amazing to see retirement right around the corner. A lot more things that we're going to talk about, and I have loaded up a lightning fast round for you, which will be nearing the end of the show that I think will be a lot of fun. Feel free to keep dropping those comments in. We'll see what your comments are when we come back.
Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@therealmonicaadams.com.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, Real Monica Adams Show. I'm your host, Monica Adams. This is Rhonda Hamm-Niebruegge. Again, the director of Lambert International for another month. So she's served as the airport director since January of 2010, during which time she's led the airport through natural disaster, helped secure new international flight services that we're talking about, and has put in motion a plan to transform the airport in the coming years. Over 25 years in aviation management positions, American Airlines, Trans World Airlines, Ozark Airlines, a majority of the career right here in St. Louis. So feel free to drop comments and thank her for everything that she's done. She and her team. I know we're never about just us, right? She and her team. Guiding the plan to transform the airport into a modern, new, single terminal facility, which is super exciting. Again, if you're just tuning in, you missed that she was talking about hopefully that construction beginning into next year. And then eventually we'll have that terminal you've all been asking for. You did say earlier that a lot of this is because I think people were asking, okay, well, where's the cost of this? You said it goes to the airlines.
It does. 90% of the cost of this project goes back through the rates and charges to the airlines, which is why they have to come on board and be supportive. So it's through their landing fee and their terminal rental rate. The other 10% comes through the non-aeronautical revenues we can generate, so food, beverage, retail, parking, and then any grants that we can secure. But the airlines are on the hook for the payment of most of this project.
But again, they see the progression and the necessity for it.
Right, they do.
And it is needed. Returning passenger levels, by the way, which was probably, I think, of all the things that you have gone through and all of us during 2020, the fact that travel, I mean, you look at from the airlines to the restaurants to the hotels, and how scary that was of, is it going to return? How long is it going to return? And you said by about 2024?
We saw 2019 had been our best year in over 20 years. And then we saw that just drop off the map, obviously, in March of 2020. But in 2024, we actually exceeded 2019, not by much, but we exceeded it. And I think that was just the excitement of, okay, COVID's gone, we can get on with life again. So a lot of people were traveling, and there was some very cost-effective travel at the time.
Sure.
You know, last year we were just a little bit behind. We were still beating 2019, but we were a little bit behind 2024 because it had just been a boom. And this year we're kind of even. So it started off the first quarter extremely strong with fuel prices and everything. A lot of people had booked the summer vacation, so we were good through that. But as you think about those last minute trips, or you think about discretionary spend, let's take a weekend and go somewhere, we're seeing that drop off a little bit.
What is the busiest travel time?
March is a big one because of spring break, and we are a city that loves to get to the beach. So,
absolutely.
So March is a big one, and then June and July.
June and July.
So
what about going in towards the holidays?
You know, the holidays are busy, but not for the month. They're busy for the peak.
Just that weekend
So
or week?
Right. You get to Thanksgiving, and you know, it always falls on a Thursday, so you get a peak very concentrated. Christmas, it depends what day of the week Christmas falls on. So sometimes that Christmas can expand over a week, but it's, you know, those 2 weeks, the rest of the month really isn't that busy in November and December. So it is a peaked time during November and December.
What about what we're all excited about right now? And it's coming to a close this weekend. Everybody traveling for the World Cup. What have you seen? And have you seen some excitement and a lot of cheering at the airport as all of these people travel all over the world to be coming to this?
Yeah, no, it's been fun to see. And the first, I think, thing that really was exciting was the Bosnian team, when they played the exhibition here,
Absolutely.
came in on the Lufthansa flight. So we had a huge crowd of Bosnians and a lot of children. And as the players came off, they were signing balls and jerseys, and you could just see the excitement in the kids because they were so proud that it was their country, right? It was their home country. And I think that touched all of us because it was just fun to watch. But then throughout the time, especially with Kansas City being one of the host cities, a lot of people came into St. Louis and either found their way to Kansas City via rental car or via the train or via, you know, flying Southwest, because there's a number of flights. So we got to see a lot of jerseys come through the airport. You got to see a lot of fans.
What was the biggest one you saw?
Probably Argentina with Messi.
Messi, and Messi everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, though, we're seeing some Mbappe from France. I mean, he's pretty incredible also.
Yeah.
But Messi.
And then you heard, and this was exciting for us because it really made us feel, you heard all these different languages being spoken. And for us, that was exciting because it does give you, we are an international airport, we are an international city, and we can compete across any stage.
Right.
And so it's just been fun.
It has been, and we keep saying, you know, all of the camaraderie that we're seeing and the kindness that we're seeing among all these different countries. Why can't it last? Well, you know, my whole show is about kindness, and it's like, please let this go beyond the World Cup.
Right.
Are you rooting for anybody in particular?
You know, I guess because Argentina was based here in Missouri, my preference would be Argentina, just because I think we were grateful that they got to be in our home state. Right?
Agreed. I'm rooting for Argentina. I know Linda, you've got family in France, I think I remember. So they lost yesterday, and now they're in the third place that they'll play for. But yes, I'd like to see Argentina win. I wanted it to be Argentina and France. It's not going to happen, obviously. So Argentina, that's our pick. You can feel free to drop in a comment as well. Rose said, amazing career. She has had an absolute amazing career, for sure. Strengthening relationships with the business community as well to ensure the airport continues to grow its economic footprint. We talked about restoring the operations after the devastating tornado again, 2011. I think the initial reports had come out saying 25 million, but you just heard her say 40 million, which 40 million in significant damages again. But now we're looking at growth and progress and expansion. Can I talk about this crazy thing that's taking place on TikTok? Do you know about this, where they think it's funny to show up 15 minutes before their flight takes off, and they're trying to show people that they think that they can? Do you know about this? Don't do it, by the way.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah. So it's a thing where it's obviously the younger generation. They're like, you can get to your flight in 15 minutes. Watch. And some of them are somehow getting lucky. Others are, you know, frown going, nope, missed my flight. So is it still recommended 2 hours for domestic, 3 hours for international?
No, I don't. I think we've gotten past
I
that.
agree.
So I think, and we are an easy airport, so you probably could, if you're not checking bags.
don't do it.
Don't do it, right? Because I don't want the complaint on the back end.
Correct.
But I think if you're not checking bags and you're traveling along and you're that business person that understands, I know what I need to do, 45 minutes is normally sufficient. The early morning, the 6 a.m. departure is the worst.
Yes.
And because that's when everyone leaves. We have, I think, 79 flights in the first 2 hours.
Wow.
So there's a lot of movement. So that's the toughest time. I would always say give yourself at least an hour, even as a business traveler, if you're not checking baggages and going through quickly, because you just never know what the checkpoint's going to look
Right.
like. If you're traveling international, you do need 2 hours. And that's not because of the lines, it's more of the process, right? So international travel, they have to check passports, maybe
yeah.
visas, depending on what's needed for the country you're traveling. So we always tell people, we do have some great restaurants, we do have some great art to look at. Enjoy the trip, right?
What time do those all open? They're not always open 24 hours.
They're not. So
Yeah.
the ticket counters typically open at 4 or 4:30.
Okay.
It depends. The security checkpoint opens at 4 a.m. So usually some of the flights, especially the legacy carriers in Southwest that have early morning banks, even starting at 5:20,
Yeah.
the counters are open by 4 o'clock. Security checkpoints open by 4 o'clock. But there's
But
always
is Starbucks open?
yeah, Starbucks opens. They're supposed to be open every morning at 4.
At 4?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember we always do like a very early morning flight, and my husband's like, "Oh gosh, we got to get there," and I go, "We do not. We don't have to be there at 3 a.m. They're not even open yet."
Right, they're
But
not.
He'll go through and go, "Wait a minute, I need a Starbucks."
Yeah, right.
You know what? This is so funny, and people think, Monica, how would you get so geeked out over something that is inside of a vending machine? Farmer's Fridge
Yeah.
is amazing, is it not?
It is, and it has swept the country at airports.
And so, is it only in the Southwest terminal, or is it in?
No, we have it in Terminal
You
1 as
do?
well. Yeah,
Okay.
so there's one on each concourse.
Okay.
But their product has been out probably about 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
And I would say these last 2 or 3 years, almost every airport of any size has put them in because of the demand.
I know, right?
People
And then
love them.
hospitals. I went to visit my cousin the other day, and my husband went down the cafeteria and calls me while I was in my cousin's room. Hey, they have Farmer's Fridge here. And everyone's like, what in the heck? There's still a lot of you that don't know about it, but try it. You're right. It has probably been, about 7 years, I would think. I remember being at Channel 5, and I remember them asking me, because we did the story, they came back to me, they're like, let's talk to the trainer. What do you think, Monica? And I said, look, I always want to give things a try, but is it really going to be good? It's like, healthy food inside of a vending machine? Let's see. It absolutely is.
Exactly.
I mean, I crave it. They have a chia pudding that's amazing, and then all the salads that are all compacted in, and you're like, holy cow, look at all this food I have. So yeah, there's some exciting things just from that, but then especially in the Terminal 2 in Southwest, I just love, as I mentioned before, I think the restaurants in there are better than in Terminal 1.
They are, and that's because it's the volume in
Yeah.
Terminal 2. It's funny because Terminal 2 has 60% of our traffic through St. Louis.
Okay.
It's the smaller of the terminals.
Right.
So the volume is there, and vendors are more willing to spend money and put in restaurants of higher quality. Now, we do have some really nice restaurants, and we've changed a lot in Terminal 1 as well, but we've got the Peacemaker, we've got the Three Kings, we've got the Tres Reyes, we've got the Blue Note. All of those represent St. Louis.
Right.
And that's what people like.
Yes.
I think that's where the difference come in, is you see a familiar. People are tired of chains. For years you had, and no disrespect, but you had your Chili's,
Yep.
or you had,
Right.
those were what the Fridays, those were what the airports had. And now it's I don't want chains. I want to know some specialty units, or I want to know what's the local food scene here.
Right.
And so
We
we've
want it
really
represented.
and we've really tried to do that. We put a NASCAR in partnership with over on the east side, the NASCAR. So that's a favorite. We do have a Schlafly's in the Sea Concourse. We've got a Kingside. So the
Oh, I don't know
Kingside,
if I knew
so
that.
the Kingside Diner's been open. It's on the Sea Concourse right by C8. That's been open probably 2.5 years now, maybe.
Really?
And that's a popular one because, again, people know Kingside.
Diner,
So we've tried really hard to do as much transition into, we don't have space to grow food and beverage.
Right.
So it's been a transition from older restaurants into newer, funner themes.
Well, with the new construction that's coming, are there things from the public that they've said, oh, once this is complete, we'd love to see this or this? What exciting things can you say are possible for this?
The biggest is that we will have 60% more space for food, beverage. So we know that we leave money on the table, which we need to help offset cost, right? Because we just don't have space. When our terminals were built, the concourses, food, beverage, retail in 1956 wasn't what customers came to the airport for. So we've been constrained with being able to really build out the concession spaces that we need. So the new terminal is going to give us that opportunity. It's going to give us a lot more space spread throughout that terminal. And the biggest piece of that is you will have access to everything. Today, if you're on the A concourse, you only have access to A. If you're on C, only C. If you're in Terminal 2, with the new concourse being consolidated in a single dual-sided terminal, you will have access to every venue. And we are going to focus on as much local as we can. You still have to bring in the national themes like the Starbucks, right? Everybody wants the Starbucks. And maybe we can also bring in some of those more local coffee shops that we love, like the Caldi's or others. But I do think it'll be a combination of some really nice local. We always get questions about emos. Can we get emos?
Oh, true. Is Ted Drew's there?
And we do have Ted Drews.
I thought so.
We have Ted Drews in the vending machine.
vending machine, yes.
And it's popular. People love it. So, that little things like that really connect the travelers that aren't St. Louis based, connects them to who we are.
To who we are, absolutely. Again, folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Rhonda Hamm-Niebruegge, the director for another month before she retires at St. Louis Lambert International Airport. Stephanie said, thank you for all you do. I always fly to Minnesota. Thank you for everyone also who works at the airport, right? I never had a problem. Everyone is always very friendly and helpful. I agree. I mean, a lot of people used to go, oh, TSA agents, they're always grumpy. Nope.
Ours are great.
Yeah, I agree. They're all very friendly. They want you to have a good experience, obviously. They want you to keep coming back. Okay, we're going to take another break, and then I've got this lightning fast round that I've got prepared for Rhonda. Any other questions? Rose, I see yours. I'll get to yours as soon as we come back. Again, thank her for her service. It's been a really wonderful career, and now she gets to go and enjoy her grandbabies. All right, we'll have more with Rhonda when we return.
I love working here. I come in here and I feel positivity with everybody, down from the housekeepers up to the CEO. Our bosses actually get on the floor with us, help us out. I've been in plenty work nursing homes, and being here, it makes me feel very happy all the time. Being around these residents is amazing things. I might cry. Working with them, it's like my grandma and my grandpa. When I'm at home, and I can come here, I feel free. When I'm having bad days, I can just walk in here and boom, I'm back into a happy place. They make everything happy and joyful, and they all respectful. They do put an impact on my life big time. That's it. I mean, yeah, that's the best memories. Hey, this is my place, this is my home.
Welcome back again. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Monica Adams Show. This is one I could go on for hours and hours. We'll just have to bring Rhonda back after she retires, and she'll be like, "Oh, I've just traveled." If you are just tuning in, some of the highlights of her career: talking to Senator Blunt and getting actively involved in the D.C. area regarding aviation. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I've had an opportunity when Senator Blunt was there. He asked me to testify on behalf of PFC, Passenger Facility Charges, which is something that was instituted in the 1980s, and it's $4.50, and it's been the same ever since. But that's just a user tax that everyone pays on their ticket from your departure airport. We, as an industry, have been trying to raise that a little bit.
Okay.
And so Senator Blunt had me speak in front of, at the time, the Aviation Committee to talk about why airports need to. And it was just a fascinating presentation to be able to sit in front of all of these senators and be bombarded with questions, right?
Were you nervous or were you excited?
Not really.
No?
Not really. But it was fun.
Absolutely. And again, she's done some really cool things in her career. Highlights of the art program that we talked about briefly, arriving at the job, the hard hat picture we had been showing you, again, from the tornado on Good Friday 2011, touring with the media that very same night, which is, again, the transparent aspect is what I love. Again, showing that damage and walking through the recovery plan. If you have a question, I'm going to go to that, and then we're going to get into our lightning round. Rose had a good one. She said, Rhonda, no question stupid, by the way. She said stupid question, but she said she always feels like a criminal when she goes through security. She has so much hardware, evidently from different surgeries in her body. She said, question, when I go through Enterprise, for instance, for a game, she said she goes off like crazy, but when she goes through the airport, she doesn't. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's the more modern and upgraded technology that airports are required to have. So I too have rods in my legs, and I can go through without them going off. Interesting enough, sometimes my high heels will go off if they're a thicker heel with a thick rod, but my leg doesn't go off.
It doesn't. It's the darn heels.
But we have incredible technology from the TSA, and it's very sensitive to understanding what may be.
Sure. And then, again, there's so many people that travel on a regular basis. Do you recommend global reentry? Do you recommend things like Clear?
If you travel a lot, I do.
It makes sense.
Because there are some airports where the lines are horrendous.
Right.
Knock on wood, we're fairly fortunate in that ours normally are very smooth. But I do think that if you're a person who travels, even if it's once a month, it's relatively inexpensive. So you can do the TSA pre-check, which is if you're just traveling, more fun here and there, that is good for 5 years. And so I would recommend that. If you're a very frequent business traveler, the Clear really makes sense because you can get moved to the front of the line based on how their setup is. And then if you travel international, the global entry's the best because you can come back through and now everything's facial recognition. You literally just stop, that takes your picture in 1 second, you walk on.
It's fascinating to me. I was like, oh, okay, keep going.
Yeah.
What do you see in your field that is a benefit of AI?
It's being tested a lot in a lot of different things. So I think the biggest is using it at airports to understand lines, to understand people's reaction, to really figure out processing. So it's still in a lot of test modes within aviation, both on the airline and the airport side. We use it very little so far, and most of that is just testing it within our own. How do we do presentations? How do we pull the best presentation together to make sure the public can understand it? So it's going to continue to morph.
It will. It's not stopping anytime soon.
No, it's not.
We have to, you just get ready, whether you like it or not. And I think the problem is it was so foreign to people when it was first introduced. And it was, when we all started talking about it, everybody else in the tech world was like, oh, no, it's been around this long. But for us, it was, wait a minute, scared by it.
Right.
We did a show on it probably about 3.5 years ago. And at that time, it was, I don't know if this is good. Then I've seen it being beneficial, depending on different fields. But let's revisit that question in about 2, 3, 4, 5 years for sure. Stephanie says, let's see. Oh, Rose, I go off also. They pat me down. I can't stand in the scanner. All right, because from a disability aspect. Okay, let's go through a lot of growth, a lot of success. Passenger numbers, again, continuing to grow, the expansion. People don't realize an airport is like a small city, by the way, operating 24 hours a day. And there's so much, but people, hopefully, this is the kindness that we all show. Just be a kind person, be kind, and you'll get that back, right? You get angry people, and they're frustrated, and they're whatever they're saying, you're going to be met the same way.
Yeah, I think so. We try to do a lot of training on customer service, and I do think that interaction begs interaction, right?
Absolutely.
And if it's negative to start with, you put somebody on the defense. Come through with a smile. We tell our people all the time, a smile makes a difference. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are in the airport. A smile makes a difference, especially if someone's nervous about flying or maybe they're going to a funeral. You never know what their personal circumstances are. So I do think that from a customer standpoint, be nice. Certainly, we know that we're not perfect and we have interactions that aren't perfect either, but we really focus with our employees, and we have a whole program dedicated to Catch Us Giving, which is catch employees doing good things.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, I mean, I know you all get frustrated if your luggage gets lost, but if the person who is handling that, God love you. I would hate to have that job because no one's ever happy when that happens, but they didn't do it.
Right.
Right? But they're the ones that's taking all of that from you. Again, they will go through the process. Eventually, hopefully, you'll get it back. But I think that's probably the number one area.
It is, or people waiting for the bags to arrive, which is
yeah.
a huge complaint I get.
Okay.
Or I can't find parking. Why can't I find parking? There's never parking. So, we try and hear those complaints. We try and address them. And that's one thing that the new terminal will address so many of the challenges that today we just can't fix in the
Right.
setup.
So what would you say are some behind-the-scenes operations that passengers would find fascinating?
The baggage system, the air traffic control tower, which passengers never get to see, but it's fascinating to see the technology and to be able to see how you manage a system so vast.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. And then I think just overall, people don't realize, like even on our team, I have 550 people, right? I have painters, I have digital design makers, I have mechanics. I have auto shop people. And they're like, you have auto shop people? I'm like, we have hundreds of pieces of equipment. So I don't think people realize all of the different jobs that are on an airport from the ground up, whether it's on the airport or the airline side. There are hundreds of different types of jobs.
Sure.
And so we always tell people you don't have to necessarily be in aviation, and you can still do the things you love and come work at the airport.
Right. Are you hiring?
Oh, yes, always.
Okay. So if they are looking for a job, what's their best way to?
Yeah, it's on the city website. Go to the city's website, and you'll see every job for the airport is listed as St. Louis Lambert International Airport.
So you can be a part of it. You don't have to be the pilot.
That's right.
It's like everyone wants to get on a team and be the quarterback. We need all of that.
Right.
We need the entire team together. What's one misconception travelers have about airports?
People don't understand the difference responsibilities between an airline and an airport. So as an airport, we're running a public utility, and we provide the facilities, we provide, the operation of the terminal. What I think people forget, or they think that we de-ice the planes, we, the airport. We don't de-ice airplanes. The airlines de-ice their airplanes. Or if there's baggage delays, we get the calls from the airport. We don't offload the bags. So I don't think it's hard for people to distinguish between the airlines and the airport and whose role and what's responsibility. It's not their fault, right? It's a complex industry.
Sure.
But it always fascinates me when people don't realize the difference.
It's interesting you say that, Rhonda, because when I was doing traffic in television, it was always, hey, we are seeing the big board. These are the delays. Here's the cancellations. Now it's come a long way where you get yourself, on a text message or whatever, that you'll know if you're going to have a delay or a cancellation. But it used to be the message constantly was, don't call the airport, check with your carrier. And that was the number one thing. But I'm sure you're still feeling all of these calls. I'm like, nope, okay, wait, who's your carrier? It's got to go through that.
Right.
So understand that. I think that's a good point. Rose says, Rhonda, this is the Real Monica Adams Show. Do you enjoy the countless funny airport skits on TV or something on social media?
Oh, I do. I having been in it for so long, and there's so many stories that people wouldn't believe if I did tell them. So when you see the funny skits and you see people mocking or making fun of airports, or people coming in their pajamas with a pillow walking through, I just find them fascinating because most of them have some reality.
Right? Absolutely. Can we just go back to a more beautiful time, though, when people would travel and they were all dressed up? I mean, my husband and I dress, I might not be in a dress, but I am pretty dressed up. And my friends would always go, why are you guys so dressed up? I'm like, this is just who we are.
Yeah.
I always believe that I grew up in the wrong era, and I love to look back at that. I'm like, look how put together everybody is. Now we've gone to the extreme where people are in pajamas.
Right. It's fascinating. And having started with Ozark Airlines, we were required as an employee, if you were flying, you had to have a suit and a tie if you were male, and if you were female, it either had to be a dress or a pantsuit. Otherwise, you were denied boarding.
Interesting.
And that was in the 80s, right? And that continued, and ultimately the airlines started relaxing a little bit, but you still, as an employee, are not supposed to wear jeans or get on in shorts or flip-flops, certainly not pajamas or sweats.
No Crocs.
But it has morphed to that whole comfort side of the house. And it
I
is
wish it
very
would change.
different.
I wish
Yeah.
we could ban. I know we're not going to, and I'm not shaming anybody that travels in pajamas, but it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy to me. My nephew travels for his job. He says our airport is the best, and he's not from here. Thank you. Bring her back, Monica. Again, you're welcome to come. I will, absolutely. Stephanie said, I like to sit in the first 2 rows. I'm traveling Southwest in August. When I booked, I requested a wheelchair. I couldn't pick a seat. It said it will be assigned when I check in. Should I call Southwest?
Yes, now a lot of policies are changing at Southwest. You can pick a seat today, but you pay for the additional seat.
Yep.
Now, if it is due to ADA, then I think you should check with Southwest Disability and just make sure. I don't know if their policy includes giving an assigned seat for that or not, but I do know that if you want to pick your seat before you get to the airport, then there is a charge for that
Right.
seat selection.
Well, and that, I don't think, these things that we're seeing that used to come with your ticket, we'll probably never return to that.
I don't think so. The industry, it's such a fascinating industry because the way most of the airlines are even making money today is through their credit cards. And with fuel prices, labor prices, which are always your 2 highest things from an airline perspective, it's hard to even make them profit on an airline with 75 seats. And that's what you used to have for some of the smaller markets where you can't put 180 people on, but you can fill 50 or 75 people to Indy, right? Those planes are going away because they can't survive financially with the cost of fuel, labor, and then only putting 50 or 75 people on. So it's a real challenge for the industry. If you can put the bigger airplane and you can put 200 people on, then you've got more revenue stream to help offset that. But I think those auxiliary items like pick your seat or check your bag.
Check your bag, yep.
All of those things I just don't see
Right.
coming back as the freebies anymore.
And the food we used to get. Now you got little peanuts and pretzels. Let's see. My hip implant always sets the alarm off. The TSA always is efficient and courteous. Again, you're going to get that back, the kindness. Okay, we ready for our lightning round? Let's have some fun. Lightning round. Favorite airport in the world besides Lambert? In
Seoul.
the world.
Seoul, Korea.
Seoul, Korea. I've never been. Okay, why?
It's just beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's
What would be second?
second. I'm a fan of Dallas.
Yeah, I think so too.
Efficiency in Dallas, right?
Yep.
So I like Dallas as a U.S. airport because the train system they have is extremely efficient, and I just like the setup.
I know people always go, oh, I don't know, that's a really tight connection. I'm like, as a Dallas, you're fine.
Yeah, I love Dallas.
They'll get you in. As far as an airline, I love Qantas.
Okay.
Have you flown Qantas?
Not in probably 30 years. Long time.
We did for our 2nd anniversary. It was always my dream to go to Australia and New Zealand. Oh my gosh. It felt a little bit like yesteryear, looking at the flight attendants, the way they were dressed, and it was the class of it all. They treated us amazing. So if you've never flown them, by the way, they're amazing. Window or aisle?
Oh, aisle.
Why?
I'm claustrophobic.
Oh, interesting. Something we don't know about Rhonda. She just let us know. My husband always has to be on the aisle. I would prefer to be by the window.
So would mine.
But I always get the middle because I'm sitting next to him. And I'm like, maybe I should have you on the aisle and me on the aisle. We'll just be across from each other. Also, a lot of people like to get the aisle because they have to get up to go to the bathroom. They don't want to be, hey, excuse me, someone's sleeping. Coffee before a morning flight?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Best city for food?
From an airport perspective, probably New York LaGuardia right now.
New York, LaGuardia. Okay. Favorite destination you've visited?
Italy.
Oh, yeah. What area of Italy?
So Florence and into Tuscany. It's like a dream there.
Right?
Yeah.
I could live there. I had never been. Everybody always was like, I cannot believe you've never been to Italy. We went to Milan, which I just absolutely loved. And then we went to the Barolo region.
Okay.
But I want to go back. We have friends that own the restaurant at the Ritz, Casa d'Alfonso. He wants us to come and go to the Amalfi Coast.
Oh.
Yes. What about all of you? Feel free to drop in. You can answer these questions as well. Most memorable celebrity you've encountered at Lambert?
George Clooney.
George Clooney. Oh, yeah. I remember when he was
Up in the air. He actually used my office as a resting spot.
Oh, really?
I had a conference room. So
Very kind person, correct?
very kind, very short, but very kind.
Right? It's crazy because you look and go, oh, I thought you were this tall. Yeah, he was so super sweet. He was in my friend. They used to own the Tenderloin Room
Okay.
at the Chase, and he actually was coming in there a lot. So. What about female celebrity?
Female celebrity, Julia Roberts.
Oh, you've met my dream. I have 2 celebrities left before I retire that I want to interview, and she's one of them.
Yeah.
She was kind?
She was very kind.
That's what you hope.
Yep.
Right? You look at her and you just think that she has that.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love that. Okay. Most underrated destination people should fly to?
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod. Why?
You know, I love Cape Cod. I'm a huge fan of Cape Cod. I think people here, especially in St. Louis, like the white sand and blue beaches. That is not Cape Cod. Right? You've got seaweed. But the beauty of Cape Cod is just phenomenal, I think. And it's like back in time. You know, you think about going back in time. Cape Cod is this quaint little village, and people there live for the tourism. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And the hospitality is spectacular. And I'm more of a beach type person.
I was just gonna. That's my next question. Was you more beach or mountains? Beach.
Beach, yeah.
Yeah, me as well. Absolute favorite thing about St. Louis?
Absolute favorite thing about St. Louis. Wow, there's so many. I would have to say, right now, it's the food scene.
I agree.
You know,
And we love, so we do a Foodie Friday with a bunch of different chefs and restaurants, and people that are outside of our area, they visit, they always say the same thing. Wow, you guys have a really good food scene. I'm like, yes, we are so proud of it.
it is. I just, and every time a new restaurant opens, we want to try it, right? And of course, you can't get in for the first 2
Yeah,
months.
exactly. Or like we just had a James Beard winner.
Right,
Have you
right.
eaten at Balkan Treat Box?
I have, sure.
Lauren
several times,
Knowledge is
yeah.
just amazing. Yeah. I mean, but we had 5 James Beard finalists, which was just absolutely incredible. George Clooney can share anything with me, Rose said. Absolutely. So, again, if you are just tuning in, you're missing the whole show that we have done with Rhonda. You can go back. Our library of shows, by the way, are on YouTube. This is one for sure that you're going to want to revisit. Any big travel plans after you retire?
Yes, Ireland and Scotland for a month coming up.
Is this your first time there, or?
It is but Steve and I both. Steve has been to Scotland for a brief period for business, but we've never been to Ireland, and I've never been to Scotland, so we're taking a month.
A month, you deserve it. And then coming back, it's just immersing yourself in grandkids.
Grandkids, and we
what,
have
what hobbies do you have that you want to do?
oh, gardening,
Okay.
wine tasting.
Oh, there we will be. We're going to do a wet your whistle together.
And I have 2 of our children with our grandchildren are here, but our youngest son is in Seattle. So spending more time getting out to see him will be fun too.
I love this again. Okay, everybody. Any other comments? Keep them coming in. Stephanie just said Daryl Hannah. She was going to New York to see John Kennedy Jr. My sister and John Schneider at the Minneapolis airport. Okay, yeah, I've met a lot of cool people. I think my favorite is Reba McEntire. She and I in New York when she did Annie Get Your Gun. People have asked me that question before. That's my all-time favorite. What kind of music do you like?
You know, I do like country music, but I love jazz too.
Oh, yes, jazz. What was it? I'm trying to think of how many years ago when smooth jazz, which was 106.5, went away and became the Arch. And I heard comments back then, and this kind of goes back to your comments about the art scene and the food scene and how proud we should be of our area. There was a comment made back then of the reason why that particular radio station went away, and they're like, St. Louis doesn't like jazz. And I'm like, who are you talking to?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was interesting. Do you remember the radio station Red 104.1?
Oh, sure.
Was incredible. Both of those, and we don't have it anymore. I mean, I know we have satellite and you can listen to satellite radio, but I just thought it was very unfortunate that that was the belief system, almost as if St. Louis didn't have class.
Yeah, we are kind of a home of jazz. I mean, if you go back.
Exactly.
It's so, yeah.
And they used to have, over there in Clayton at the park, they would have these big jazz festivals. Bring it back. We need to bring, we're going to bring you back. So congratulations, by the way,
Thank you.
on an incredible career and your retirement. And go enjoy Scotland and Ireland. Then I'll see you at Bob's party.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so at the end of every show, we do a devotional. What are you feeling that we need today? There are 100 Days to Freedom books. One is fear and anxiety. One is depression. One is shame. One is anger. One is overeating. And then the other is 100 Days of Healing.
And the question is.
So we're going to read a devotional. Which one do you think we should read from? So fear and anxiety is one.
Okay.
These are the 100 Days to Freedom books.
Okay.
So it's freedom from fear and anxiety,
Okay.
freedom from shame, depression, anger, overeating, or there's a book called 100 Days of Healing.
You know, I think 100 Days of Healing. I just think as a community, we do need to heal. There's so much negativity, and pulling apart versus pulling together. So I would say 100 days to heal.
I agree with that, because when we think of just St. Louis as a whole, we get so much bad press. Oh, the crime. And I'm like, crime is everywhere. Oh, we need somebody new at the helm. Oh, I'm not going down to a game.
Yeah, I
and what's the final thing you could say about people that feel that way? And because if we don't, those businesses shut down.
They do. And if you see the recent at Ballpark Village with all the watch parties, I have been so happy to see Ballpark Village just busting at the seams because they've had these watch parties, right? And people want to go see the games on the big screens and be around other people and hear I'm cheering for them, I'm cheering for them. And there's been a lot of media about the success of those watch parties, and that they're bringing 4,000 or 5,000 people downtown at the time. Same with the soccer, right? I mean, I think we have to. This Thursday we're going to Vince Gill.
Oh, my gosh,
at Stiefel.
Love it.
And it's sold out. So people are coming downtown, and I think, you can't shy away from our downtown area. It is St. Louis, and it has to be successful.
I do not let it stop me from living. Sure, my husband's an officer, so he's always like, have your head on a swivel. There's some places he doesn't want to go, and I'm like, okay, you just be smart. But again, we have to support our city. Otherwise, what is it going to look like? A ghost town?
That's
in the
absolutely
coming years?
right.
Yeah, I agree with the healing. I like it. 100 Days of Healing. Rhonda, you're a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in. All of you, stand by. We'll do that, and then we'll let you know what's coming up on a Foodie Friday, by the way. We're really excited for the chef that we're going to be featuring this week, so we'll tell you more about that when we return.
Most places you walk into, you look around, you nod, not here. You could try anything. Woo! Only 3 minutes in here, I'm already gassed. Check this bad boy out. It's a swim spa. Let's go. This is called the Sweaty Goat. This is where I get my demons out. Whether it's a hot tub, a swim spa, a sauna, or a cold tub, you come in here and you could try it and you pick what you want. That's Spas and More, STL. And tell them Cam sent you.
Well, wasn't she just a delight? Absolutely. She's running off to a meeting, taking some time with us this morning in this exclusive interview on the Real Monica Adams Show, telling us about her life. And again, a lot of the press were saying that she was retiring in the fall, but as you heard, it's coming up in August. Great show. Thank you. Enjoy your retirement. Stephanie says, yeah, keep those comments coming in for her. So she picked 100 Days of Healing, and I think that was very fitting for what we look at with St. Louis. This one's called Trusting God's Timing. In repentance and rest in your salvation, in quietness and trust is your strength, but you would have none of it. Isaiah 30, verse 15. The children of Israel are examples of what not to do when you're still in the middle of the wilderness, not yet in our promised land. They saw God's miraculous provision over and over again, the parting of the Red Sea, manna and quail, water from a rock, just to name a few, but they quickly forgot those wonders afterward. They even built idols to worship while their leader was communing with God on their behalf. We're no different, though. We create idols of convenience, content to worship the wrong things. We distract ourselves with material goods, social media, unhealthy relationships in order to not feel too much. And then we question God instead of trusting him. Thankfully, we have the same God who was full of forgiveness and compassion to his chosen people, who brought the Israelites to the promised land, not because of their great love for him, but because of his great love for them. And so today, ask him for strength and endurance and confess your tendency to place other things above him. He'll bring you out of your wilderness in his perfect timing. Tony Evans said, God's timing is always perfect. Trust his delays. He's got you. Your prayer today, Lord, give me your endurance to cross the wilderness with faithfulness. Give me your strength to resist the pull of idols. I long to trust you more. Thank you for giving me opportunities to do so. Trust, very big thing that so many people have a hard time doing. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. We have a Foodie Friday on tap for you with someone who was actually with Gerard Kraft's team for a long, long time. Now he works at an exclusive country club, so exclusive that he can't even tell me the name of it. But what he's on tap for us is going to be pretty remarkable. Chef Matt Wynn Lynn will be our guest coming up on Friday. Tomorrow, just like last Thursday, it's been a very popular show, by the way. It's the life coaching that I do from home, just me and you. And tomorrow we're going to revisit the dangers of perfectionism, which is one of my biggest shows since we started 3.5 years ago. So this is going to be a continuation of that. Again, releasing yourself on the mindset of perfection is the greatest thing that you can do. So that'll be the case tomorrow. I'll see you at 7 a.m. From now till then, remember to dream big, be anything you want to be, but before anything, be kind. God bless you all.